Hey everyone, this is my first short, kind of rapid response video I want to start doing in association with the podcast. So, a lot of times things will come up in the news that I want to comment on, and I think, oh man, that would be really great for an episode for the podcast. But unfortunately, it doesn't fit, or it's not something I could do a whole episode on, or it happens so quickly, I already have an episode scheduled. So, I think what I'm going to start doing is for kind of current events or things that happen in the news, I'm going to make these short response videos for YouTube. And then I'm going to do kind of longer, more topical segments to deal with on my podcast. I mean, there still will be current events, things like that on the podcast, but for things that happen, and this just happened yesterday, and I saw it and said, oh, I wish I was talking about it on the podcast today. But, why not make a short video? So here's the story. This is from Catholic News Agency. The headline is, Archbishop Paglia says priests can be present at assisted suicide. Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia, president of the Pontifical Academy for Life, said Tuesday that he would be willing to hold the hand of someone dying from assisted suicide, and that he does not see that as lending implicit support for the practice. Now, I 100% disagree with that assessment. I'll explain why here in a little bit, but I want to say right up from the outset, no, I don't agree where the Archbishop is coming from on this issue at all. I mean, I see where he's coming from in certain instances, because he says later, well, we shouldn't abandon people, we shouldn't ignore them. And that's right, we should never abandon someone or be unloving towards someone. But being loving doesn't always mean that you approve or cooperate, even in an implicit way, with an evil action somebody's taking. So the article goes on to say, Paglia spoke at a December 10th press conference preceding a 2-day symposium on palliative care being sponsored by the Pontifical Academy for Life and the Wish Initiative, part of the Qatar Foundation. Palliative care is the care you provide someone usually at the end of their life, but if they're suffering from a chronic or terminal illness, palliative means to ease their pain. So the question is, how do we ease people's pain? And in a lot of modern palliative care, you have people who support assisted suicide who say, oh, well, we should just, let people, let people choose how they're going to end their own lives, or essentially to kill themselves. They don't use that language, but that's what it is. And here, this is the problem, that doctors are supposed to kill pain. Doctors should kill illness. They should kill pain, but they shouldn't be killing patients. So, answering a question about assisted suicide and whether a Catholic or a Catholic priest can be present at someone's death by assisted suicide, Paglia told a small group of journalists that he would be willing to do so because, quote, the Lord never abandons anyone. He says, in this sense, to accompany, to hold the hand of someone who is dying, I think is a great duty of every believer should promote, he said, adding that believers should also provide a contrast to the culture of assisted suicide. I disagree with this. I'm not going to hold someone's hand as they murder someone else or themselves. And we should have compassion on anyone who is considering suicide. The vast majority of people who are considering suicide are suffering from some kind of mental illness, usually clinical depression. In those cases, what we do is we help them make the right choice. We don't go along with or try to console them as they make the wrong choice. So for me, the closest you could be present to an assisted suicide, in my mind, would be to be praying outside of the place where it is taking place, that you are there saying, hey, don't do this, please change your mind, and praying for the repose of that person's soul and praying for the souls of the people who are involved. Similar to how you had people standing outside of abortion facilities, sidewalk counselors, who try to talk people out of choosing abortion, out of ending the life of their unborn child, and are there present to provide spiritual comfort and resources for those who are post-abortive. I've seen people at abortion facilities handing out post-abortion resources for women who tragically make this choice, and also resources for the men who are often accomplices to this. So, to drive the point home, just as I would not hold a woman's hand who is having an abortion, I would not hold someone's hand who is choosing to end their own life through assisted suicide. Like, if I was inside of an abortion facility and they let me be in there, if I was in there for some reason, I would destroy the equipment so that the abortion couldn't take place. If I was inside a place where someone is going to end their life through assisted suicide, I would take those pills and I would flush them down the toilet. I would throw them out the window, because in doing so and being there, we're tacitly affirming what is going on. That at the very least, being there to console someone as they choose to end their life through assisted suicide causes scandal. And I'm amazed that the Archbishop can't see this, that if a priest were there at someone's choosing to die through assisted suicide, killing themselves with the help of other people, a doctor gives them the pills, they take these poisonous pills and end their own life. If a priest was there during this entire process and did nothing to stop it, that's going to cause scandal. It's going to make people think, oh, well, maybe assisted suicide's not such a bad thing. I mean, a Catholic priest was there after all. So I 100% disagree with the Archbishop here. I think that it's okay to be nearby a facility where assisted suicide takes place, to pray for those who are choosing to do this, to be a witness and to encourage them to not make a permanent choice that is dealing with a temporary problem. That once again, it's okay to kill pain. It's okay to administer drugs that as an indirect effect might shorten life if the primary aim is to alleviate someone's pain. But it's not okay to directly kill someone, either to directly kill another person or to directly kill oneself. So that's a big principle in Catholic bioethics, that you can give someone medicine to ease their pain, even if it might indirectly shorten their life, but you can't give someone poison with the direct intent in order to kill them. He goes on to say, I believe from our perspective, no one can be abandoned, even if we are against assisted suicide because we do not want to do death's dirty work. I don't really know what that means. We're against assisted suicide because it's wrong to kill a human being. It's wrong to kill an innocent person, and whether you're killing another person or killing yourself. He says, his main point is we shouldn't abandon people. I agree we shouldn't abandon them. But if you go there and hold someone's hand while they're making an evil, tragic choice, you kind of are abandoning them. You're abandoning them to the sin they're engaging in. That sometimes the best way we can help someone and love someone is to shake the dust from our feet and say, you're going to go and do this. I, as someone who loves you and cares for you, cannot support you in this decision. I cannot be there in this regard. I cannot be at your assisted suicide. I can't be at your abortion. I can't be at your so-called same-sex wedding. But I will pray for you that you will make the right choice. And if it's not a fatal choice like assisted suicide, I will be here for you if you want to help you seek reconciliation with God and his church if you fall into some kind of a tragic sin. Not fall into, you're choosing it. But as we said, with suicide, there are mental health issues to take into account. There's a whole host of issues here that if we go down the trail of accompanying people who choose assisted suicide, we're really participating in a culture of death, in my opinion. Asked his thoughts on directives such as these. Oh, let me go back. Last week, the Swiss bishops released guidance on pastoral care regarding assisted suicide. The document said pastoral caregivers should not be present during a person's death by assisted suicide. Good job, Swiss bishops. Asked Paglia's, thoughts on directives such as these, Archbishop Paglia responded, let go of the rules. I believe that no one should be abandoned. The rules are there. These moral rules are not arbitrary rules handed down. I don't like the way that he's phrased that. Our directives, moral commands that God gives us, are for the benefit of others. And sometimes we do have to let people go to do something that's destructive. I mean, in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, St. Paul handed someone over to Satan. He excommunicated someone for engaging in an incestuous relationship with his own stepmother, that for the benefit of his own soul, he had to be abandoned, separated from the community, so that hopefully he could eventually be saved to see the error of his ways. So we should care for people, and we're not abandoning them when we choose to not be complicit in any way with the sin they're committing. I would like to remove the ideology from this situation. It's not ideology, it's sound Catholic moral principles. Paglia added that it is a cruel society which tries to justify assisted suicide or which abandons those not deemed good enough. Suicide is a great defeat for society and can never be transformed into a wise choice, he said. Well, that's true, at least. At least he gets one thing right. In addition to discussions on assisted suicide, the December 11th through 12th Vatican Conference will include presentations by representatives of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism on the topic of medical ethics, the mental health of the elderly, and interreligious cooperation to incorporate spirituality into palliative care. So I think this criticism of Archbishop Paglia's comments are warranted. Absolutely. And I'm going to pray for him that he will see that this is unsound advice and that he will make a retraction and say, was wrong. And I think that there are other people who have spoken on this who have said, no, that this is not the right path that we should go down. We should affirm life and we should care for every person. We should never say that somebody is beyond hope or that we ought not care for them. So I agree we don't abandon people in that way. And so someone who chooses to end their life with assisted suicide, the church doesn't abandon this person. We pray for that person before their death, after their death. We provide them resources, ethical hospice care to treat whatever pain they're feeling. And oftentimes it's not pain, it's loneliness. It's dealing with the fact you've lost control of your bodily functions and you feel like you're a burden on other people. To say to them, you are not a burden. You're a child of God made in God's image, and we want to care for you. So we're not abandoning them, but we cannot hold someone's hand while they murder themselves or other people. You got to if you're going to draw the line somewhere, you ought to draw it there. So I hope that's a helpful comment for you guys. If you want more resources from me, be sure to go check out my podcast at trenthornpodcast.com and just pray that this conference at the Vatican goes well and that sound bioethical principles will come from it.